hope to make an impact here. One of the biggest issues we have right now is what we're gonna do with Stanley County Home Health. One of the biggest challenges of home health, there are more than one. The biggest one in my personal battle against the idea of shutting it down is what do we do about pediatrics? No one else but us does pediatrics. That's just a fact. We have to deal with it, we have to work around it, or come up with a solution for it. Thanks to some members of the public, I got introduced to Ms. Cyndi Secura, who's the CEO, owner, and founder of More Pediatric Therapy Services
Correct.
in 7 Lakes,
Seven
North Carolina.
Lakes.
Also now in Montgomery County, North Carolina.
Correct.
Coming to Stanley County, North Carolina. They are coming here. They're already seeing our patients, well, their patients in our county. They already have employees from our county going to work in Montgomery County. So it's not a matter of if they come, or could they come, or will they come. As soon as she finds an office, she's gonna hang a shingle and be doing it. And I figured if this board were going to consider throwing support behind anything, the feeling that I got from some of our discussions and the tones of emails, the tones of the meetings were no big pharma, no big medicine. We don't want to turn our kids over to some big nameless giant agency that we don't know, because that's scary. And I don't blame you, it would be scary for me too. I've had the pleasure to meet her one time. We had lunch and sat and talked about it. I thought if you guys had the opportunity to hear from her about her company, she's brought some of her higher staff here. She's gonna tell you about the company, and then she's gonna take questions. So this is our one opportunity. If you got a question, I told her to come prepared with gloves. Okay, you know, take the hit hard, but today's the day, okay? I'll turn the floor over to you, Cindy. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. And thank you for having us. My name is Cyndi Secura. So as you said, I did start More Pediatric Therapy. I'll introduce who I have with us right now. So this is Penny Haywood. She's our operations manager. And Allison Nance, and she's a physical therapy assistant from our PT department, and Allison is from Stanley County. And Anna Furr, and she's with our occupational therapy department. She's an occupational therapist, and she's also from Stanley County. And Lynn Adams, and she's our speech therapist, and I believe Lynn is from Montgomery County.
Correct.
And all of these ladies see currently children in Stanley County. So, and I'm from Moore County, but I actually graduated from Stanley Community College in '95 and worked in pediatrics my whole career. And in 2008 decided that Moore County did not have a pediatric therapy facility. Nobody in Moore County to see kids. I saw the need, so we started More Pediatric Therapy in Moore County. We began to get referrals from Montgomery County and saw the need there, so we opened a satellite clinic there. October was a year in Montgomery County in Troy, and began to get referrals from Stanley County. We see that there is a need here, so we were in process of already looking for a clinic to expand our services here. We currently see 31 children in Stanley County. We're trying to recruit pediatric therapists because we have a waiting list for Stanley County already. But pediatric therapists are sometimes difficult to come by. So we passed this paper out. I apologize for this not being on letterhead. But I had just written a few things down about us and what we do. I'm kind of just gonna go through it if you don't mind. So we offer continuity of care, patient-centered model. So we are really looking to have what, for lack of a better term, a one-stop shop. So a parent doesn't have to run over here for speech, or over here for PT, or over here for their play therapy. We want everything under one roof, so the parent can come. They don't have to travel all over town for what they need. They come to one place, get it all right there. And that's what we do in Troy and in Moore County right now. We also, so we have our clinic services. We also do outreach services. We go to homes and we go to daycares. If the child is not able to come to the clinic, we definitely go to where they are at. We see children up to about 15 years old, because once they get to middle school, a lot of times to come into a pediatric clinic, we're set up for little kids, and those middle schoolers, once they hit 6th, 7th, 8th grade, they really don't want to come and see us anymore. So we offer OT, PT, speech, feeding, swallowing therapy, and CBRS play therapy. In Moore County, we do not have CBRS play therapy in Montgomery yet, but we are looking for a therapist for there, and we do not have that in Stanley County. We've been in business almost 11 years. We employ over 35 pediatric therapists, and all of them have their different specialties, but they all are specialized in pediatrics. So as we said, we're based out of 7 Lakes, but we are definitely spreading out. Right now with our clinics, we have about 600 visits a week combined for OT, PT, and speech. So we've been doing this for a while. We know what we're doing, and our visits, they just keep increasing. And then it's broken down in there, how many visits for PT, how many visits for speech, how many visits for CBRS and OT. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Sandhills Children's Center, but it's a developmental day center, and there's a location in Moore County and a location in Richmond County. And we just recently picked up that contract, and they have 86 children that receive multiple therapies at both of those locations. And like I said when I opened, we are looking for a location here in Stanley County. Allison, because she lives here, she's really on it for me. She is going to look at different facilities, and her father also has a property here in Stanley County that he's working with us on developing that piece of property so that we can have a large enough facility. So that is pretty much about us. We definitely would like to work with Stanley County. We definitely would like to help the kids in Stanley County. We have the staff. We definitely need more staff. And so when I got a phone call from a therapist who was actually started the conversation with myself and Mr. Jordan, and she's the one who was telling me about the article that was written and how Stanley Home Health was having some difficulties and what was going to happen. And we were already on our way here, and we already had a small footprint here, and so what better way to go ahead and just move forward is trying to work with you guys and the population that you already see, and see if there's anything that we could help you do in transitioning, and just let you know that we are here and we're here for you if you would like for us to help you in any way with that transition if it takes place. So.
Thank you, Ms. Cyndi.
You're welcome. What
You
kind of
guys,
questions?
I have some questions that I've run past you before, but I'll ask again for your benefit, only if y'all don't ask them yourself, you know? There's bound to be a lot. Speak up.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We keep hearing that the children are Medicaid,
Yes,
and
sir.
therefore we receive less funds for dealing with those. So how are you able to keep your organization going if you're only dealing with children with Medicaid?
I think that's one of the things
That was the
Mr.
first thing
Jordan
I
asked me
asked her.
as well. Well, we don't deal just with Medicaid. We are credentialed with all the major insurance companies as well as Medicaid. And we do not pay a salary to our employees. Our employees are paid fee for service. So if you see a child, then you get paid for seeing that child. We do pay a pretty good dollar amount per child, but that's probably the biggest difference. And we also only pay 50% of the employee insurance. We only have 40 employees altogether in the whole company. So we are a small company. But I probably would say that's probably the biggest difference is that we don't pay salary. I don't know what you guys pay or how your pay structure is, but I know a lot of companies pay salary. And in the pediatric world, like you said, Medicaid is pretty low at the reimbursement rate. So you have to really trim the fat, keep everything, Penny does a really good job at streamlining our finances.
And I would like to say too that, unfortunately, because majority of the kids are Medicaid, we have just a small percentage that are private insurance. And because of that, and a lower rate than, what geriatrics gets reimbursed. One good thing for us is, I'm sure you guys have heard Medicaid's changing their structure a little bit and going into managed care. They're basing that off of Medicare rates. So that's kind of going to assist us down the road to be able to offer our employees more, hopefully, once we get that information. But it's all about volume. When I started with Cyndi in 2014, we only had 3 therapists. And it was difficult to, we had to be very, very lean. We had no benefits because we couldn't afford to offer any benefits. But as we started growing and adding more therapists, which there in turn adds more patients to be treated, that's what helps as well.
I have a question. How many speech therapists is Miss Adams your only speech therapist?
I'm the only speech-language pathologist in Montgomery County. I have a speech-language assistant whom I supervise. She works part-time in Stanley County and comes to our clinic in the afternoons. We're actively recruiting additional speech-language pathologists or assistants, and if you know of anyone, please have them call us, please.
I think one of the questions was about the model. I'm not sure it's important, but I'll ask it to have it on the record. We employ a variety of, or a combination of both employees in the county, and we subcontract a lot of services. The majority of our pediatrics, and Director Jenkins, please tell me if I'm correct here, the majority of our pediatrics is outsourced. You don't outsource at all. You hire everyone.
That is correct.
Everyone is an employee of
Everyone is
MPTS.
an employee.
And so far, you've managed to grow in some pretty rural areas by direct hiring without a major problem. So that's good.
Everyone is an employee. We consider, if you'll give us 3 full days a week, you're considered full-time, and you receive all the benefits.
What happened, you said about the middle class kids, on, when they start middle school or whatever, they don't like coming to your facility or whatever? How do they maybe continue treatment?
Most of the time, they would go through like a hospital outreach. And a lot of times, by the time they get that age, they may not need as much outpatient therapy. A lot of times at that age, it may be more of a speech thing where you may be working on social communication and social skills, pragmatics and stuff like that, not more of your developmental skills, which we specialize in.
I grew up in that, in case you don't know, I stutter, your ears don't flap. That was, I grew up with that, and I'd say that was a very good description of how mine went. First, second, third grade, it was a lot. 4th, 5th grade, it was some. By the time I got out to 6th, 7th, 8th, you don't want to go see your speech therapist anymore. I mean,
You don't
I don't
want
care
anybody to
what your
know.
parents want, it's what you don't want. It's not cool. But I did still see them, just a lot less often and in a lot more circumspect manner. And then, mine, that was the one person that followed me all the way through high school. She kept track of me, and to this day, she's probably 70 now. If I go to the beach, I'll hear that, well, she heard that you were in town and you didn't stop by and say, hey, I'm sorry, Miss Daniels. I thought I was clear of your class 35 years ago, but all right, I'll come by. But, anything else from anyone?
It seems to me that our problem is government. That government does things more expensively, and as you can see, these are independents, individuals that are able to take something that we run the price up. For example, if you, at the charter school, I know that they built the first building for $1 million. But when you do that in the county system, it took over $5 million to build a middle school at Norwood. So you see the difference there. So the issue is that we have employees that are getting a lot of benefits and a lot of in retirement and things like that, and they should. I'm not, but it's hard to compare that system with their system, which is minimal.
It is. I agree.
And I'm not sure that any of our employees would be willing to do that.
Willing to do what?
To take that, to go from where they are, what they're doing, what they're making, what they're accumulating,
Right.
and then go and work in this system that she has.
And that, in my opinion, that's one side of the argument. I mean, what do we do about the pediatric patients? That is kind of the A side of the coin. And there is still discussion of what do we do about the pediatric employees? And I think the facts are kind of cold hard truth. Money's going down, money's gonna continue to go down. We can either try to offload, the idea that I had was just try to offload the pediatric patients and see, and then maybe be able to evaluate, okay, with that financial aspect removed from the home health program, how does that leave us? Does that put us back in the black for 3 more years? Does that not help at all? Do we still shut down, but the kids are at least cared for? These kids don't have a choice on their own. Adults do. Adults can do something else. For the most part, they at least have some choice, and they have options. These kids have none, and they have nobody to speak for them except their parents. And their parents don't know we're having this discussion. I mean, a few of us have publicized it, talked about it, but far and large, the parents don't know this conversation's happening. And they're gonna find out one day when me and 6 other people have to sit in the boardroom down the hallway and say, by the way, we're closing the program, and your kids have no solution. So I hate to say it, but the adults in the employee range, it's kind of the same situation. You're adults, you have a choice. You can go work for somewhere else, you can possibly transition somewhere else. Your field still exists. There are people don't want to lose a job. I don't want to put anybody out of one. If there's another way to keep them employed, or the tasks they can do, that's Mr. David's department. I couldn't speak to it, but I doubt he has a solution for that either, truthfully. But it's like you have to. The only option that keeps all the employees happy is keep paying for everything that we're doing now. And the government has told us that's not an option. So you have to do something.
You don't really look at contracted employees, if you're saying that most of your employees are contracted. Well, contracted people make a whole lot more. If we go through a contract, you make a whole lot more if we're, yes, you want to speak to that?
I want to jump in. I'm kind of the odd duck in the room in many ways, but in this instance, and I'm pretty sure it's my former dentist over there. Is Dr. Norwood from Norwood? Hi there. Okay. All right. Anyway, I still have most of them. Years ago, I was in Montgomery County Schools as a speech language pathologist. I went back and got my doctorate, and I was a university professor. So I've been out in the world being a university professor, and I decided to come back home. My family's in Troy. And so I retired from teaching, and I took a job with another company, a full-time, all benefits covered company that wanted 40 hours a week, and they wanted every second of that 40 hours a week, and there was no joy in that job. So I said, I quit and called More Pediatric because their model is different. It's not for everybody, but I'm doing fine. I'm doing quite well. I'm making money comparable to what I was making before. I don't think that company had a retirement plan. I don't think that, so that's the only thing I don't have, but that was up to me to figure that out a while back, because I'm a few years away from retirement, closer than I realized. But it's not for everybody, but it can absolutely work. Absolutely work. I have flexibility. I can work as much as I want. Nobody's over there going, you need to do this, you need to fill up that schedule, billable hours, nobody's doing that. That's the other model, that's not this model. If I have to cancel a child, I have flexibility of rescheduling the makeup session when I want to and when the family can do it. I am an independent contractor, but I don't feel like I'm out there by myself. I know that I can call Cyndi or Penny and go, help, I got a problem, and they're right there. So it's not like we're independent contractors essentially, but we're
Because
part
you're
of
in
it.
control of your schedule.
Right, but
So
they're
Your employees
They're-
that have the benefits of independent contractors when it
absolutely.
comes to
So I have flexibility, and I don't have to call Penny and say, oh, I can't see this kid now, do you mind if I, she's like, do your job. Do your job, see your kids, let me know how it turns out. And so there's a lot of flexibility in that that's very different from what most speech language pathologists, that's the only thing I can speak to, most SLPs have never experienced a position like that. And it was a bit of a hesitation when I started. I thought, okay, I'm going fee for service. That means if everybody's sick that week, and I work with pediatrics, so, oh, gee, there have been weeks where everybody was sick that week. You know, you go to Head Start, and they're like, sorry, they all are throwing up. Okay, now I'll go over here and not throw up. But the reality is I can make up those sessions. I have flexibility and I have control of my schedule. And for me, personally, at this stage of my life, because once you get past 60, you want control of this stage of your life. I'm doing what I want and when I want and with a great company. So that, I'm not trying to sell you the company, well, yeah, I am. But we're a great company. And we're all, like I said, we're already here. I go to 2 Head Starts. We have my assistant treats kids in Norwood Head Start and in Albemarle Head Start, the Stanley County Head Start Center. And we have gotten nothing but accolades and praise from the directors, because first thing they said was, you come when you say you're coming. When you say you're treating a kid for half an hour, you treat them for half an hour, not 15 minutes. And you don't group children together and treat them for 15 minutes. And I thought, well, yeah, we said we'd be here for 30 minutes, and that's what we're doing. So we already have a real good reputation among the pediatric or the preschool age population, because we're seeing those kids already. And they're making great gains too. We're really excited because we're seeing progress.
And I would just like to say that we currently have a memorandum of understanding with the Rowan Salisbury Head Start program. And so all of the Head Starts in Moore County, Montgomery County, and Stanley County are directly referred to us. They do not let any other outside companies come in. It's only us that come in, and that started last year because we signed that agreement with them last year, and they have had nothing but positivity in regards to that memorandum of understanding that they signed with us. And they're constantly sending us new kiddos all the time.
I have a question from the potential displaced employee perspective. If they were, let's say, they were interested in continuing to work within this area, is there space for you all and your staff potentially for some of those people to seek employment?
Yes.
We are actively recruiting, for
Yes,
sure.
we have been recruiting for the last 6
So
months.
it'd be up to them whether they were going to.
That's correct.
She made a joke when we first met that, you know, she's politely refraining from headhunting our entire staff, but that she would do it if, you know.
And it all started with this one therapist that came to us and she had heard that possibly her job will be going away. So she's being, you know, proactive in trying to find another job. And so, the other thing about our company, just so you know, is we're family oriented. We know that every one of these ladies, including myself, including Cyndi, we have families, we have kids. So there's times when we have to take off on the spur of the moment because maybe we have a sick child. And so we understand that. We are not about productivity. That's not what it's about. What we are about is the children that we serve and the families that we serve and getting them the appropriate therapies that they need, but also to take care of our therapists. And I like to say that our therapists come number 1, but then after that, it's all of our kids that we treat. And they're kind of a close number 1. We only work 4 days a week. We're only open Monday through Thursday. Fridays, we use that as kind of a makeup day. So if kiddos or a therapist had to take off, due to, for whatever reason, they can move their kiddos to Fridays. And when our parents come into our program, we kind of let them know that we understand you're gonna have things that arise that you have to cancel, or your child gets sick. We may have the same thing. We don't make it a common thing, but it may happen. But just know, we're always going to offer you a makeup of some sort so that your child doesn't go without therapy.
And I'd like to say a little bit of something too. We're all thinking about just outreach, you know, but think of the qualities that a clinic can offer. For instance, you're thinking about your therapist and they get paid more, but they're going out and doing outreach and things like that. But we can offer to parents a clinic setting where you can see more kids. A therapist can come and see back-to-back children, you know, clean up, see the next child, give specialized intervention. I'm a parent of a special needs child. She's 16 now, but at age 3, we knew there were issues and there was nothing in Stanley County for her. The hospital and the school was pretty much it. And so I can't tell you the joy it would have given me to have had a clinic setting with specialized services, sensory integration, speech therapy specifically for her, oral care and intervention. All of those things could have helped maximize her potential in life. So I think a lot of therapists would see the benefit of being able to come to a clinic setting, be able to have your supplies on hand and not tote them, be able to clean up quickly, get your next child, pull a parent in, do consultation right then and there, you know, and if they can't do it, then you can do the outreach and provide what's needed. The other thing to look at too is if you're looking at a shortage of therapists, the Medicare situation is changing, payment in that situation is changing, and you're liable to have a lot of therapists out of work there in this county needing some assistance. I also did skilled care, and they're fixing to go through some huge changes, and it may drop the number of therapists who have a position anymore due to those changes. So I think you will still be able to give them very good quality and multiple avenues of intervention.
I'd like to add to that, we not only go in and treat the kids at clinic, homes, things like that, but we offer resources. Say, you know, a kid, around here, there's just not a lot of, you know, resources for braces and helmets and this, that, and the other. So what we do is we come in and say, you know, we think this child might benefit from some ankle braces. So what we do is, part of our job is we reach out to, you know, these different companies that come in and kind of cater to the kids. They'll come to their treatments, so the parents don't have to drive to Concord, to Charlotte, to, you know, the San Hills area to get these services. They will come to us, and, you know, so it's like Cyndi said, a one-stop shop. So, you know, we see that a kid, you know, needs these braces. We, you know, make sure it's okay with the parents, obviously. They see primary care, and then from that point, this company will then come to us. So these parents don't have to worry about having 4 or 5 appointments a week and this, that, and the other. So we try to also, other than just treating the patient, provide resources other than just therapy. We may send them home with exercises and, you know, different programs and things like that to do. But we also want to be, you know, there for other things other than just, you know, treating your child. So we do have some resources with some mental health facilities, some orthotics companies, you know, for braces and splints and helmets and things like that. So we do have those resources available, you know, if we do need that assistance.
You do special needs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
I listen to this health and human services issue, the home health care services a lot. And as the attorney that reads all the contracts, fortunately for me, I get to see where the money's going. And so, whether that's good or bad, I read a lot of contracts. And I read a lot of contracts for contract employees for the services that they're providing. If I'm not mistaken, the vast majority of the services that they're providing are all already under contract to contract companies. I don't know how many employees you'd actually be affecting if you agree to work with this group. So, I'm just saying that I've read the contracts, I know where speech pathology and all that stuff is. I think these are fields that are very limited in numbers in our areas, very limited. So, the stuff's not out there, and working for DSS and working on JCPC board, there's not money to help these services, but I think just about every services they're offering is under contract, for a contract company, not an employee of Stanley County Health and Human Services, in my opinion. I just wanna throw that out there, cause I was the one that read them, and
But
I've
so,
listened to a lot of these.
to clarify that opinion, what you're saying is, it won't hurt our subcontractors that bad.
Well, they're subcontractors, they're not even your employee.
Right. But I
So
mean,
how can you feel
that was a
trusted?
question that did get drafted to me, and I didn't know who to ask it to, but I feel like, because they're subs to one of these 5 or 6 companies that we hire, we are not their only patient for the most part. They have, I mean,
No,
the reason they're subs is they have patients in potentially 2 or 3 different counties.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's my opinion, I read the contract, Patricia can tell you better, because she's the one that sends them to me and types them up, and they're quite lengthy, but I truly believe that they're contract employees. So I think that like speech pathologists, you're not gonna find them, you're not gonna find one, they're very rare.
Well, I mean, that's,
So, it's a contract.
that's what they said too when we met the last time, you know, we said even if we wanted to hire, and it goes back to our board discussion of, well, how about we hire 7 people to do this job? Well, let's just forget the money aside. If you could find 7 people in this county, well, we'd have already hired them. And if not, they would have. They're not here. There's no one to hire. The people we hire are coming out of Charlotte. Actually, the majority of them seem to be coming out of Charlotte. You know, so,
Winston-Salem, she says.
for Winston-Salem.
Wow.
What was that?
The majority are outside.
Yeah, are outside. So, I mean, even if we wanted to hire them as an option, there's no one to hire, not here.
5 of our 6 patients at the Montgomery County office are from Stanley County. I think Lynn is maybe the only one from Montgomery County right now. So 5 of our 6 therapists at Troy are from
So
Stanley.
you're saying the only ones we do have, y'all already took?
Yeah, so.
Now, I just want to clarify one thing. We do run several of our contracts with one alliance. I'm not sure exactly offhand what percentage of those contracts are pediatric. So in other words, the county HR and finance frowns on us individually contracting, so we went to this firm that helps us manage these group of employees.
And they can
coming
see
to provide the service.
peds or geriatrics.
I would have to, we have to get a close breakdown on what percentage does what. I feel like most of them are peds, but I'd hate to speak to that at this time.
Most of the alliance are mainly our occupational therapists, CODAs, we do have a physical therapist through there, but they see both, adults and kids.
There you go.
And see, that's where we come, we only see kids. So if you have, you know, you can go to your general doctor, but if you need, something's wrong with your bone, they're gonna send you to the orthopedist. So if you're a child, you can't go see someone that does everything because they can't specialize. So we only see children, we specialize in child development. You could put me in a geriatric facility, I would not know what to do, because I only have ever done pediatrics. I mean, I could take a guess, you know, and I could wing it, but I'm not gonna be a specialist in it whatsoever. So I think that's important to know too about more pediatric therapy. Strictly peds, only pediatrics, and our continuing ed is in pediatrics. Our, what each individual therapist has their own specialty, and it's specialty regarding development, child development. So it's hard to, like I said, to have therapists that see all populations. It's hard for that therapist too. Yeah.
How many OTs and PTs do you have?
As a whole, as our whole company, or just in the Montgomery County, Stanley County area?
Probably the ones that would be
That would come up this way.
So currently, we have, Anna Furr is our occupational therapist, and then she has 2 CODAs, which are occupational therapy assistants. We have 1 physical therapist that supervises Allison. So she doesn't have a caseload, because she just supervises Allison's caseload, which for physical therapy assistant. And then for speech, as Lynn stated already, it's her and then she has an assistant. So we have 6 therapists for the Montgomery-Stanley County. And we do have again, an agreement with Cabarrus Health Services College, I believe, is the full name of it. And they send us students that come and do their field work with us. And we have actually have 1 student that is completing her field work too with us in our Moore County office. And she lives currently in Charlotte. And so she is gonna be coming on board with us, probably, she graduates in May. So probably by June, she'll have her license and will be coming on board with us and work in the Stanley County.
How do y'all advertise or let people know what y'all have and what y'all provide? How do you let all the other agencies or communities or municipalities or whatever, how do they know about what you have and what you provide? How do you let people know?
So we have a contract with the Child Developmental Services Agency here in Concord, as well as the Sandhills CDSA, which is Montgomery County. So they send us a lot of referrals. We marketed ourselves to the pediatrician offices and let them know that we were here when we first got our building in Troy. So they supply us with a lot of referrals. A lot of it's word of mouth, but we also have a Facebook page and we have a website. So you can Google us and you can find us that way as well. But majority of it is word of mouth, and then the CDSA, and then the pediatrician offices. And the Head Starts, yes.
If we were, a multi-part question. We have somewhere around the number of 135 pediatric cases right now, is that about right? And we're kind of at the capacity that we can handle, right? We do have a list beyond that, we just quite really can't see. So, in a perfect world, or if you got to decide, and we did say, hey, let's do this, how do you onboard 135 patients? What would that look like? What do we do? What do you do? How does the process work?
Well, yes. First of all, we are unable to take on any more patients until we hire more therapists.
Right.
All of our caseloads are full.
And we have to get you an office first.
And we need an office, that's correct. So in order to maximize our services, we like to have an office because, as Anna said, that means our therapists can see back-to-back kids, so we can see more kids because we're not having to travel from here to there. Also, that 135, is that 135 kids that only get 1 therapy? Or is that 135 visits among the 3 disciplines, speech, OT, and PT? So that would be things to kind of determine. Most of our therapists, if it is OT and PT, they're normally 45 minutes to an hour-long appointments. And within a 4-day period, Monday through Thursday, they can average about 6 to 7 kids a day if they work 8 to 5. So you're
That 135 is
unduplicated.
And
So
they receive more. Some of them only have 1 service, but some of them have 2 or 3 different services.
right. So it would just depend. We probably would need to double our current therapy. So we would need to at least hire 6 to 7 therapists among the 3 disciplines in order to be able to fill that.
Our county came back with, hey, we need to hire 7 employees. It just occurred to me, you probably need to hire 7 employees. That's
Yes.
about how many on the
Yes.
caseload that
Exactly.
it would take.
But I would like to say, I do know, for myself speaking, about 3 therapists that had expressed to me that if they had something in Stanley County, especially a private clinic, they would be more willing to leave where they were at because they wanted to be in the pediatric field, but they didn't want to have to do the drive, the wear and tear on the car, plus to have a clinic setting with everything there. One therapist assistant that I had under me would dearly love it, but she's driving an hour and a half because they, you know, offer a little bit more, but the productivity there is very high and she's very stressed. So I think you might see a lot of therapists come out of the woodworks that are interested in when you see clinic things.
Right.
And I think if we can share the model and the experience that we've had with the model, I'm talking with two people who currently have employment in Montgomery County about perhaps coming to work with us because they want to perhaps change their lives. Very coded language there because I don't want to get anybody in any trouble. But, so I think it depends on people knowing, if there are people want to, it depends on what you want to do. When I first started with the company, there wasn't an office in Montgomery County. All I did was drive the roads in Montgomery County. I was living in Pittsburgh at the time, which was an hour and 10-minute drive to Montgomery County. So I called Penny one day, I was like, I'm in my car for hours at a time. I can't do this anymore. And she's like, oh, don't worry, we've got a building and we're gonna have a clinic. I said, okay, great. So, and there's less productivity when you're riding the roads because there's a half an hour in between every appointment. I see a child and then I have to have half an hour of travel time, or, you know, you say, oh, I can do it in 15 minutes. No, you can't. It'll take half an hour. Don't try to do it in shorter time. It doesn't work. And the idea of being in a building can be very attractive to people who have been riding the roads. Being in a setting where you don't have to write IEPs can be very attractive to people who might be currently employed in a school setting because we don't have to write IEPs. And that makes me very happy. I don't know if you can tell about the smile on my face, but that made me very happy because that's an onerous task. That is something that you don't get paid for during the day. Every SLP in the schools will tell you they do that at home. They don't have a choice. That's where that happens. And it's pages and pages and pages and pages of documentation per child. You know, sometimes 50 pages for one child. So, and multiply that by a caseload of 50 or 60, we suddenly look way more attractive, even though there's a trade-off. You're not getting a salary.
Right.
So my paycheck varies a little bit because kids are sick, because my dog is sick. I don't have children, I have a Great Dane. And she's elderly, she's geriatric, she's 11, and she has tummy problems. I just want to leave you with the vision of a Great Dane with tummy problems. But she knows where the vinyl is in the house that I'm renting, thankfully. So, I think that we will be able to attract people once we can sort of say, look at what's happening, look at what, you know, I contacted a friend and said, I want to talk to you about what we're doing. Because I know where you're working and I know how stressed you are, and I want to talk to you and just let you know the realities of what I'm doing. And then you can feel free to say, thank you, I'm good, I'll stay right where I am. But, you know, check it out, see what else is out there. There's not just one-stop shopping. And I have a little bit of different background. As a university professor, I trained SLPs to go out into the world. And I used to say, you know, oh no, go to the schools, the hours are great, the hours are great. You got summers off. Well, the hours aren't great if you're working at home every evening. And summers off suddenly becomes a time to go do some other work to try and supplement your salary because the salaries are not competitive in public school settings. So I'm still all gung-ho for public schools, but every model of treatment provision is changing. And I think we offer a unique opportunity to clinicians who want to be independent. And that's probably where the difference is. We're not going to attract everybody.
I think you brought up a good point. Actually, Rick brought up a good point that applies to you guys, but we are a bureaucracy. I mean, by design, that's what we are. We move slow, we shift slow, we adapt slow. You know, it takes us 2 months to have this discussion about being slow and what we're gonna do. And we know the deadline's coming, yet we're still not accomplishing anything yet. You're a small company, and more importantly, you're a private company. You can make a change. If you feel the need to make a change, you have a meeting, you talk about it, and we implement change. And things happen. Things don't move fast on our side. I'm new to government. I hate that, by the way. It drives me nuts. I've been in this job for 4 months, and already I want to pull my teeth out. Why can't we just get things done quicker? Because everything we do takes forever. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, by the time we implement new stuff, it's already antiquated, you know?
Mr. Jordan, I've been here 20 years and I have the same frustrations.
Yeah.
Like the next day.
And I'm coming to understand that I'm gonna have to suck it up. It's not gonna get better, you know?
Well,
But,
I would just like for y'all to know that we're coming to Stanley County. You know, we're here as far as outreach is considered, but as far as a physical building, we're coming. You know, so, we had already made that decision 6 months ago. If y'all would like to help assist us find the location, we'd be happy to have you to help us with that, because that's the only thing holding us back.
I told Cindy this before, I don't know if I asked it on here or not, but our county manager's office is at the other end of this building, so we're done here. No, I mean, when I told him about having to take time to meet with you, he said, does she need help finding a place? And I said, well, I mean, yeah. He said, do you want the county to help? I'm like, I didn't know we did that. I mean, yeah, sure, I want the county to help. Of course, sir. I said, you know, and so within that day, he had me like 4 properties. He's like, and the first one did not look good for you, but I was like, wow, I had 4 in like 10 minutes.
That's right.
And,
And just so y'all know, we move fast, so we're the opposite of what you do. In Montgomery County, we decided we needed a place in Troy. We felt like that was where most of our kiddos were at that time. So we rented I think it was 1,200 square feet building with the potential of adding more units. We're right beside Sir Pizza on Albemarle Road, in case you haven't been that way, or if you have, you've seen us. We acquired that whole building minus 1 unit in 6 months. That's how fast we move and grow. Yes?
My question is, so if you found that physical space, then what would be your timeline to see the first job?
The Troy office, we had it up and running in less than 30 days.
And I'd like to add, along with having the physical space and, you know, with your therapist on the road and things like that, we have receptionists and we have people in the office, so you don't have 30 parents calling you and texting you a week saying, you know, I'll be 5 minutes late, whatever. They, you know, some of them obviously, you know, may have our numbers, but we have that receptionist and we have that office staff, so, you know, the therapist doesn't feel like they have to receive, you know, so many calls or so many texts. And we have an awesome documentation system that sends out reminders to parents, hey, just let you know, you have an appointment tomorrow at so-and-so time. And then, you know, if that's not okay with them, they can always call the office, whereas, you know, I don't know how it was working before. But I know a bunch of like traveling therapists and, you know, those on the road, the parents will directly contact them, which is fine. But, you know, we do have that where, you know, they can always call the receptionist, and we have a translator as well. We have multiple office staff who is there, you know, as soon as this patient calls and says, hey, I can't come today, I have the flu, they're there to offer that makeup. So it's not that delay in time. You automatically, when that parent calls, you know, if there's something available, they're right there at the computer to tell them, well, can you come tomorrow at this time or whatever it is. So for those therapists who are, you know, always on the road and get these phone calls, texts, whatever, we have that opportunity for them to directly contact the office. So that part is kind of, you know, optional if you want it to be. So we have that.
I have a question. What happens, when you get a referral from CDSA and you try to reach out to the parent and you can't get in touch with the parent? How many attempts or how vigorous of an attempt do you make to try to get in touch with that person and get them in?
Our referral coordinator, she will try for multiple weeks until after about 2 to 3 weeks, if we still have not gotten up with that parent. In that meantime, we're discussing with the caseworker saying, hey, do you know how to get up with this person? We have had actual caseworkers to go to the home, get with the parent, and call us from their cell phone, and we made the appointment from there. So we don't give up on a child just because their parent is not returning our phone calls. We take effort, we go the extra mile to make that referral, because again, it's not about the referral coming to us, it's about taking care of that child. And I think Mr. Jordan made that comment, these children, they don't have a choice, where adults have choices. So we have to kind of sometimes, even though we like the parent to be the advocate, sometimes we have to become the advocate for that child.
As a follow-up to that, what happens if the child has no form of payment? They need the services, but they don't have Medicaid, or their parents don't have them covered on insurance. Do you try to make arrangements with them?
So I've had many kids, that had no insurance and the parents weren't able to make payments. We have, we work with every parent. So our self-pay rate is kind of a sliding fee scale. In other words, we kind of go with the lowest, paid amount that we can afford to provide services. But then also, I have filled out many application forms to help parents. I have directed them to DSS. I have directed them to social services for possibly disability income. Anything out there, we have partnership, what is the name of that company that will pay? We have some companies that will pay out a certain amount for a patient based on their guidelines. We have had kids that were under the age of 3. CDSA is 0 to 3. We referred them through the CDSA, and the CDSA was able to help pick up their portion. So we just had a child that the child was severe, and the parents didn't have her in daycare, and she just was not progressing, unfortunately, being with the parents. And we were able to refer that child to the Sandhills Children's Center, which is a day developmental center for kids with special needs. And that child, just in the month and a half that she's been there, they said they can already see change. So again, we advocate any way we can, and we don't hold, I don't wanna say we don't hold non-payment against them, because we are a business and we have to be able to have the funds to pay our therapists, but we work really hard with our parents for those situations.